Hello everyone, welcome to Event Digital class. So in today's lecture of computer organization, we will discuss another concept which is related to our pipelining, that is our data path and control consideration. So we will see how the data is transferred and how we will efficiently use the bus structures, and this concept I have already discussed when I have discussed about the single bus organization and multi-bus organization. So in today's lecture we will see how we will divide or how we will use different types of MR and how this will benefit the performance of the computer organization. Okay. So let us go to the lectures. So this is the design which I have discussed in my previous lecture of multi-bus organization. Here we have used 3 buses, bus A, bus B and bus C. One bus is used to gives the output, or you can say one bus is acts as to collect the outputs and another 2 buses are used to give the inputs. So here, and that is basically for ALU, that means this bus A and bus B is used to give the input to the ALU, and this through this bus C will collect the result from the ALU operations, and this is the original design. So we will see how this design is modified and how this will be used and how this will be differentiated and from this original design. So let us see. So this is the pipeline design of the original design which I have displayed in my previous slide. So here which part we have modified, that as you can see here, the picture represents the data path modified for pipeline execution with interstage buffers at the input and output of the ALU. So basically whatever the data we are providing to the ALU or whatever the data we are collecting from the ALU here and here, so that path is modified only for the pipeline execution, because we have already discussed in the pipelining concept that if the data is absent or data is unavailable or the instruction is unavailable, that gives rise to a condition which is called as hazards, and in the unavailability of the data it is called as data hazard, and the unavailability of the instructions it is called as instruction hazards. So we will see how the controls are given, or you can say how the data is transferred through the ALU and how the operation is performed. Okay. So this is the pipeline designing, and here we have used 2 buffers, we will discuss it, and then here you can see one is our PC and here is our incrementer, and incrementer is basically used to increment the PC value automatically. That concept is also in our multi-bus organization, and the new concept which we have implement in this our IMR and DMR. That means the memory address register is divided into 2 types. One is to hold the instruction and another one is for the data. And MDR is also divided into 2 parts. One is for read operation and another one is for our write operations. Okay. So these are the modifications which we have made in our original design to get this pipeline designing concept. This is the modification, so let us discuss it. So what are the changes we have done? That there are separate instruction and data caches that use separate address and data connections to the processor, and this requires 2 versions of the MR register, IMR for accessing the instruction cache and DMR for accessing the data cache. Okay. So basically there are 2 caches which we have used here. One is our IMR and another one is our DMR. So IMR stands for instructional fetches, or you can say this memory address register is basically used to fetch the instructions, and that DMR is basically used to access the data, and we know about this MR that means memory address register, which collects the memory address or which holds the memory address whether we are performing the read operation or we are performing the write operations. Okay. So, this is the basic change, and here two versions of MI register is used, and the separate instruction and data caches uses the separate address and data connection to the processors. Here you can see the DMR is here. So, data is collected from this and also data is collected from this, because the DMR is used to access the data or it is used as the data cache, and then this IMR is used, that means this PC is incremented and automatically this value is updated in the IMR, so that the ALU at that point of time can operate some other operations. Okay, so go to the next point. As I have told you that the PC is connected directly to the IMR, so that the content of the PC can be transferred to IMR at the same time that an independent ALU operation is taking place. So, the PC is directly connected to this instruction memory address register, so that the whatever the content of PC, that means we know that PC contains the next memory address, or you can say whatever the instruction will be executed in the next, that address is loaded in the PC, or you can say the program counter. So, whatever the content of PC, that is transferred to the IMR at the same time that an independent ALU operation is taken place. Then the data address in DMR can be obtained directly from the register file or from the ALU. We know that where the data will be produced, either data is present in any register files or after operation the data is generated as the result of some instructions. Okay, let us we are performing the add operation, then the result is our also one data. Then, so we have to perform, or we have to collect the data from the register file or from the ALU to support the register indirect and index addressing modes. Okay, we have already discussed in our previous lecture that when we are using complex addressing modes, at that point of time, even if we are using different concept to overcome the data hazards, also we are having some stalls in our pipelining. Okay, so here we are using the DMR concept, so that whatever the data we are in our register file or whatever the data we are producing from the ALU, that is directly transferred or directly given to the DMR. And next concept is our separate MDR registers are provided for read and write operations, so that the data can be transferred directly between these registers and the register file during load and store operations without the need to pass through the ALU. So, as you can see here in the previous diagram, that here we are using separate MDR registers. Okay. So, one is used for read, another one is for used write. I have written here read because we are just reading the whatever the data is in the register file. After reading this from this, then we are writing. Okay. So, data can be transferred directly from the register file, here you can see, okay, and through the MDR, data is transferred directly to this MDR, and then from the register files when we are performing the store operations. Okay. So, the operations does not need the involvement of the ALU. So, next concept is our buffer registers have been introduced at the inputs and output of the ALU. So, these are the registers called as source 1, that means SRC1, SRC2 and result. We have seen that when we are writing some assembly language codes, there maximum we are using 2 source operands and 1 resultant operands, or you can say 1 destination. So there are 3 registers which we have used in our organizational concept, or you can say in the previous diagram, that is our multibus organization. The registers are called as SRC1, SRC2 and result. That means whatever the first source operand will be fetched and that is stored in this register, and the second source operand is fetched and stored in this register, and whatever the result produced by using these 2 source operand, that is stored in this register RSLT. Then forwarding connections may be added if it is needed. Then here you can see that we are having the concept of this, and then the next concept is our, so the instruction register have been replaced with an instruction queue which is loaded from the instruction cache. Okay. In the previous concept of pipelining, I have discussed that we are maintaining an instruction queue so that we can use the prefetching concept. That means when the register, or you can say when the instruction is not present, or it is the fetch unit is busy or fetching some other instructions, that means after fetching the instructions we can place these instructions in a queue, and the decode unit can collect those instructions from that queue only. Okay. So in this type of situation, the instruction register is replaced by an instruction queue, where we can place multiple instructions and which is loaded from the instruction cache. That means if the instruction is not present in the instruction cache, then we have to load that from the main memory to the cache, then from that to the processor. So processor maintains an instruction queue where we have placed the instructions, and from that it can get the instructions. Then the output of the instruction decoder is connected to the control signal pipeline, and this pipeline holds the control signals in buffers B21, B3. So we can see that here in this diagram, that here is our control signal pipelining and here is our instruction decoder and instruction queue. So from the instruction queue, the instructions are given to this instruction decoder, and where we will get the instructions? We will get the instructions from this instruction cache, and then we have load that into the instruction queue, and then from this instruction queue the instructions are given to this instruction decoder. Then whatever the operations we are performing, it will be forwarded to this organization and we are performing the operations, and the control signals are given or are generated by this. Okay. So the next concept is our, that the pipeline holds the control signals in buffer B21, B3. Okay. Then next concept is our, what are the operations can be performed independently in the processor of figure. So what are the operations actually we are performing? The operations is our reading an instruction from the instruction queue, and then next operation is our incrementing the PC, because in that previous diagram these are the operations. So next one is our decoding an instruction, reading from or writing into the data cache, reading the contents of up to 2 registers from the register file. Then next one is our writing into 1 register in the register file, then performing an ALU operation. So we will discuss it one after another in that previous figure. Okay. So the first operation is our reading an instruction from the instruction cache. So here is our instruction cache. So the instruction is fetched or collected from this instruction cache, and then it is loaded into this instruction queue, and then this instruction decoder decodes the instruction into different small parts so that we can perform the operations. That means let where the instruction called as C equals to A plus B, that means the instruction decodes that instruction as that we have to load the value of A and we have to load the value of B, and then after getting the value of A and B, we have to add that, and then after adding that result will be stored in the C. So, after decoding the instruction, for getting the control signals are lowered 2 times, that means we have to read the value of A and B and then we have to write the result in the C, and another operation is we have to perform the addition operation. So, the control signal is generated as there are 2 read control signals, 1 write control signals, and another one is our add control signals. Okay. So, in that way the instruction is decoded, and when we are performing or when we are collecting the data from the memory, then we have to use this following concept. That means after decoding the instruction, next concept is the PC has to be incremented. That means we know that whatever the instruction is currently executed, that is stored in our IR, and when the instruction is in our IR, so first that instruction is collected from the memory by using this MAR, because MAR holds the memory address register and this collects the memory address. That means which instruction will be our next, that will be collected from the PC. Thus from this IMR, the instruction will be read or will be fetched from the memory, and that is loaded into this MDR. Okay, and then from the MDR it is loaded into the IR, and parallelly the PC is incremented, and at the same time the incremented value of PC is loaded into this IMR. Okay. So, then next concept is our decoding an instruction and then reading from or writing into the data cache. Okay. That means the data, whether it is present in any type of memory location or it present in the register files. Okay. We have also seen it in the assembly level language that we can also directly get the data from the memory location by providing the location concept, and then we are also getting the data from the registers, whatever the general purpose registers we are having in our processors. So, the data will be read, or after operation is completed, the data will be written into another register or into any type of memory locations. And then how many registers or how many content of the registers we have to read? Minimum 2. That means up to 2 registers we can read the content, because we are having up to 2 source operands. Okay. So, reading the content up to 2 registers from the register file, then writing into 1 register in the register file. Here in this register file we are having all of our general purpose registers, and when we are performing the operations, that means we are collecting 2 source operand, one is SRC1 and another one is our SRC2. So, that means 2 source operand is collected and it is given to the ALU, and then after getting that will be loaded into another register, that is our RSLT or result you can say. That means when we are collecting the information, the registers, how many registers we are involving? We are involving 2 registers, but where we are writing the data into the register file, how many registers we need? We need only 1 register, that is our destination register. Okay. Then performing an ALU operation. So, these are the operations which were performing independently in the processors. Okay. That means any one of these operations are not depends or are not affect other operations. So, the processor execution time we can calculate also by using n cross s by r, which I have already discussed. This is our pipeline design and how it will perform and what are the operations we are performing by using this modified data path design of our previous version. Okay. So, and this is our previous original design which we have modified and fit it into the pipeline execution. Okay. This is all about our today class. In today class we have discussed about the data path and control considerations. That means how the data is flows and how we'll use the multibus organization when we are executing the instructions in a pipelining. And what we are modified, that we are using two MR registers, one is for instruction cache and another one is for data, and two MDR, one is our read operation or another one is used for writing the operations. And next concept is our IMR is directly attached with the PC. So whatever the content of the PC, it will be directly loaded into the IMR. Okay, and there is one decoder circuit, and also we are having one instruction queue concept. So now we have already discussed about different type of operations which we are performing by using that multibus organization. So in today's class we will discuss some other concept of the computer organization. Till then, keep watching. Thank you.